The Dragons go to Texas to get a football commit, and it's a quarterback. You'll meet him. Plus, the best rivalries in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Hot Mike begins now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to We're Really Back edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com. Happy Tuesday, everybody. 8th day of July is here, 2025. Summer is officially over. I hope you all enjoyed it. It's done because talking season is officially here. I'm having major FOMO today because a year ago today we were live in Las Vegas. Think about that. We did the show from Las Vegas for a couple days at Big 12 Media Days. And today they are starting, actually they're underway now. And of all places, I got the email a few months ago because I was trying to somehow get it back because we have some pretty strong connections to go again this year, is in Frisco, Texas, of all places. I literally know that place probably better than West Fargo. Certainly since West Fargo keeps expanding. At the Star, of all places. So, we're missing out, I think, here the next couple days. We talked about it a little bit on the show yesterday, but my point being is, here it is. College football is ready to hit you right between the eyes with the preview of the 2025 season. So it starts today. Today and tomorrow happening in Frisco at the Star, which our guy Chris Kleiman knows all about. Of all the teams that are there, there's nobody been there more than him. Heck, he was just there in January to watch his old team play, of course, see his son Devin coach for the Bison as they beat Montana State. So Kansas State is speaking later today, and anything relevant that pops out of there over the next 2 hours on our program, we'll pass it along, and much more on that throughout the show, I would imagine, tomorrow. But here it is to start officially with college football 2025. We got plenty to get to in our program today, including the, again, silly season is here since we're now in early July, getting ready for, we're still a couple weeks away from training camp for the Vikings, and so it's list season as well. Everybody has their own lists about getting ready for the new year. The one thing also, and I missed the boat on this, and I think we talked about it when we were in Vegas last year because there was the new college football video game was re-released last year. It's again, I must be too old. It's not a thing for me. I must be out of the age bracket on that because that's all over my social media feeds about college football 26. I could not care less on that, but I guess I'm just old on that. We're going to chat later on in the show. The Dragons picked up a pretty big football commit, which is not surprising. That's not headline news for the show. The position and place is Dragons got a quarterback for the 2026 class, and they went to Texas to get him. You're going to meet him coming up later on in our program. I got a couple emails after the show was done yesterday. We were broached the subject of the new football districts in Minnesota high school football, and that apparently spurred some people to email the show after we were done. So we're going to dive into that a little bit more as well, because if there's anything that's consistent is people being PO'd about high school football, whether it's North Dakota or Minnesota. And I'm sure for our friends in South Dakota, they always have something to complain about as well. So we'll dive into that topic coming up later on in the program. We'll start with some baseball news, and we were chatting on this yesterday as well about how much we're going to dive into the Twins and spend oxygen on the baseball team that's currently 4 games under 500, apparently in second place in the American League Central through 90 games with 72 remaining and seemingly just lingering out there in the American League Central. But there was one newsworthy note to pass along that happened after we wrapped up yesterday with the Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up a week from today in Atlanta. The Twins will have, at least as of now, one representative. That is Byron Buxton will be going to the game. And he was asked and will participate in the Home Run Derby, which will take place next Monday at Truist Park in Atlanta. And this is a big deal for him, obviously, being back in his home state. There's a lot to come in this. He's going to be joining some other confirmed participants. Ronald Acuna Jr., of course, is going to be there, who is the hometown guy who plays for the Braves. James Wood is going to be there. Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, will be there from the Seattle Mariners. He is the 8th Twin to compete in the Home Run Derby. And you have to, this is an interesting mix of guys that has been in the Home Run Derby representing the Minnesota Twins. The most famous, obviously, is Justin Morneau, who won it in 2008 at Yankee Stadium, at the old Yankee Stadium. I remember that vividly. I was anchoring the sports that night when Josh Hamilton was hitting 48 home runs in the first round, and Hamilton stole the show because of his comeback story. And it is almost second fiddle that Morneau won it. That seemed like it wasn't even a blip on the radar because Hamilton hit so many home runs. That was in the old format. Listen to the guys that have been in the Home Run Derby. Tom Brunansky was there in the first Home Run Derby in 1985. Would not have guessed that. Gary Gaetti was in the Home Run Derby in 1989. Those are not power hitters that would I have associated with this event. Torrey Hunter was in the 2002 Derby. That was in Milwaukee. That was when he robbed Barry Bonds of a home run over the wall. You're probably too young for that, correct? You don't have no recollection of that, Mr. Bennell, 2002, because you were born in what, 2019? Probably have no recollection of that whatsoever.
Very vividly, I remember that.
Do you now?
Yeah.
How old were you in 2002?
I was just about to turn 6.
So
yeah,
old.
Kyle was 2.
Oh. Thank you for my old. Oh God, that's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Our graphics guy was just born, so.
Brody wasn't even born?
No, Matt.
Oh, Matt. Holy cow. Well, I can leave now. Thanks, guys. I'm as old as I feel. Morneau was in twice in 07 and 08. I have no recollection of Joe Mauer being in the Home Run Derby. That was the year he won the MVP in 2009. I remember Brian Dozier was there. That was the year the Twins hosted the All-Star Game in 2014 at Target Field. And the last was Miguel Sano in 2017 in Miami. That might have been Sano's last hurrah. That was 2019 when Sano hit 30 home runs. That was the year the Twins had 8 guys at 30 bombs. But that's it. That's the list of guys. The Home Run Derby was an official All-Star Weekend event, began in Minnesota at the Metrodome of all places, of course, the Homer Dome in 1985. So Byron Buxton will join that group of former Twins that have participated in the Home Run Derby. And it's certainly not the event that it was 20 years ago. Heck, it's not even what it was when Morneau won it in 2008. That was 17 years ago. It's a made-for-TV deal. Is it still as popular as it was? No. I don't know if it's like the slam dunk. It's like all those deals. It's never going to be what it was. They need to make it quicker, and I think they've done that. When I was there, we covered it in 2014. We went to Minneapolis for the game. Boy, we had to twist some arms to get there, but we got there. And then there was rain that night, so it delayed it, which stunk. But it still took over 3 hours. And when you're actually there, it may actually seem longer when you're there than when you're actually watching at home, which sounds counterintuitive. But to actually physically be there seemed like it took forever and a day. But those are the official participants, as we know, and Buxton will be there next Monday. And I had to double check on this when we wrapped the show yesterday in preps for getting ready for today, as the Twins are back in action coming up tonight with the Cubs. This is the official standings, and the Central is over. The Tigers have won the division. You can say it's over on July 8th, folks. They got a 14-game lead, 14 game that nobody else is even close in baseball. The American League East is 3.5. The American League West is 6.5. The Astros are up on the Mariners. The National League East, the Phillies are up 1 on the Mets. National League Central, the Cubs are 3.5 up on the Brewers. National League West, Dodgers up 6 on the Giants. This is a boat race. It's donezo. Nobody else over 500. What happened to this division that had 3 teams in the playoffs last year? Royals, Twins. The Twins are tied for second.
This reminds me of like the old NL West when the Dodgers would just boat race everybody.
Yeah,
It wouldn't even be close.
But at least in those days, weren't most of the teams over 500 though?
No.
In the National League West?
Yeah, they were bad.
Oh. The Giants or the Diamondbacks or the Padres at least be over 500. This is, I mean, not even close. Cleveland is tanking right now, submarining at 15.5 back, and then the White Sox, which we knew weren't going to be in the race anyway. The wild card, and we'll get to this if we need to once we get later in July, because the Twins right now are 5. I mean, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 teams ahead of them. It's not time to start paying attention to that. You got to leap a lot of teams to get there. So, again, that's why you caution any, I don't know if optimism is the right word, or just say, hey, this is where they're at. The Cubs are in town, though, for the next 3 nights, which that means, A, the crowds are going to be big at Target Field. Chicago always brings a lot of people. Simeon Woods Richardson will throw tonight for Minnesota with a mark of 4-4, ERA just under 4.5. Shota Imigana, who's one of the Cubs' best, goes tonight. Lefty, who's 5-2 with an ERA just under 3. This Cubs team, I hate to admit it because my wife loves the Cubs. My son has certainly jumped on the Cubs bandwagon. They are good. They might be the best team in the National League. And I know the Dodgers are sitting out there, and the Mets have had a horrendous June. Thankfully, it's July now. Chicago is pretty darn good. So this is going to be a test for the old Twins over the next 3 days. But that's where things are at right now. Again, you had to look at that division. What happened last year? Tigers were unreal from July 31st on, right? They went from way out of it. They made the wild card. The Royals made the postseason. Obviously, the Guardians made it last year with the Twins fading terribly. You got 3 teams in. As of now, you would have just the one. That's like the NFL, where you go from having the NFC East get 3 teams in to having one the following year. That standings board looks like the NFC South every year in football, where the team at the top traditionally maybe is 500, maybe a little over, and then everybody else stinks. Like the past few years, the Buccaneers have been the best, and then the Saints, Falcons, and Panthers have been bad. That's what we've got in the AL Central right now, and nobody's catching Detroit. It's donezo. We got a packed show coming up for you here today. Our guy Mike McFeely will join us. I've checked the records on this. Mike and I haven't done the show together in a month, so there might be a bit to catch up on. We'll do that coming up at 9:35. I'm sure I'll give him some ammunition to come in here at 9:30. At 10 o'clock, I mentioned MSUM football got a big time. They got 2 commits yesterday. The big one they're excited about is Payton Wallen from Quinlan, Texas, who's a quarterback that is committed to the Dragons. Texas to Moorhead, Minnesota. How in the world did that happen? We'll ask him coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, one of our favorite guests, Hawley head football coach Peder Naatz, will join us on the unveiling of the new Minnesota football districts. The Nuggets are in with a couple of old rivals. No surprises there. But DGF is a class ahead of them. They're in with Barnesville. Perham is in it. Perham's a class ahead of them. Pillager's in there. And there's some other teams that are going to be moving as well. We'll discuss that with Coach Naatz coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on this Tuesday morning. We're glad you're joining us. We're just getting started. We'll take our first break. Hot mic off and roll. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. All right, welcome back, everybody. Tuesday morning show off and rolling. Payton Wallen, MSUM football commit, going to join us at about 10 o'clock. I mentioned off the top, we are in list season, especially for college football, to get you going. I will plead guilty to this. We've done my Twitter countdown from 100 days. We're at day, 53. So we've been fully – I am not innocent of the charges on this one. I will tell you that right now. I will plead guilty on that to get people fired up for the season. But there's some other ones out there. The Athletic is doing a nice job of its college football coverage of getting people amped and ready to go for the 2025 season. And we've had Scott Docterman, who on the show a couple times used to cover Iowa football pretty much exclusively. Now he covers everything college football-wise. Put out yesterday the top 100 college football rivalries. And come on, now that's like serving red meat out, right? That definitely is going to, A, get clicks, B, earn a big-time response, C, get people to read it. That's the holy grail of what you want to do if you're, A, if you're hosting a sports talk show, B, if you're trying to generate some interest in the middle of the summer. And there's no surprise. The top 3 we could show. I mean, there's home runs here. Michigan, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas. I think in any sort of order, depending on where you live, that is going to be signed off on. After that, Army, Navy, which is pretty damn good. USC, Notre Dame, which is in peril of keep playing. Nebraska, Oklahoma, which I know upstairs probably some would say that should be number 1, even though they decided to stop playing for a bit as well. Scroll up here, the rest of the top 10, Miami, Florida State, which is fantastic. Ohio State, Penn State, which is relatively not that old in terms of how many times they've played. See, they only played 40 times, but it's still pretty darn good. Florida, Florida State, which they met for a national championship. That automatically adds some spice to it. And then, look at that, number 10, Gophers, Badgers comes in, which they've played the most of anybody at 134, and it's a dead heat. 63, 63, and 8 for the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe between the Gophers and the Badgers. Now, this is not exclusive to just FBS football. It's not even exclusive to Division I football. I'm happy to report on that. Docterman included many rivalries, not just the big boys that we've seen here through the top 10. If you scroll a bit, and forgive me for those watching at home because it's going to give you a little bit of a headache here, but if you scroll into the 30s, you will find one school matchup here. Number 39, there it is, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. He writes, it's unfair sometimes to compare FCS and FBS rivalries, but this rivalry can hold its own with the best in the sport at any level. it has become FCS premier on-field rivalry. There's no disputing that. Both schools have long-standing rivalries with in-state foes that carry similar importance locally. The distinguishing characteristic of NDSU-SDSU is its prominence nationally. The teams have played 6 times in the FCS playoffs, and the Bison lead 5-1 in those rematches. The postseason winners all claimed the FCS championship, including obviously last year with the Bison winning in the semifinals, going on to win the title. The separation of these schools from North Dakota and South Dakota took place in 2004 when NDSU and SDSU left Division II for FCS. The other two followed in 2008. Since 2004, the Bison and Jacks have played for the 75-pound Dakota marker, which serves as a replica of the quartzite monuments that mark the border between the states. That's up for grabs only in the regular season. Biggest game. Now, gets hot here. It's difficult to look past the 2022 FCS championship game, which South Dakota State won 45-21. But the 2024 FCS semifinal in Fargo added legacy to the scorching hot rivalry. Top FCS quarterbacks Cam Miller and Mark Gronowski went toe-to-toe, with the Bison pulling out a 28-21 win over the two-time defending FCS champs. North Dakota State then claimed its 10th FCS title. That's pretty good. I appreciate the research that went into that. Granted, Google can help you with a lot of that, but you got to know some things as well. And, I mean, it goes without saying that it's the top FCS rivalry. For the 22nd time, NDSU and SDSU are going to play for the Dakota marker coming up this fall in Brookings. The Bison haven't won in Brookings since 2019, which was a crazy game, epic game down there. With the Adam Cofield 4th and 1 from the 29-yard line, 71-yard touchdown. Bison win the game 23-16. So, understanding full well, what are the other top Valley rivalries? And this has changed, obviously, with some teams that have come into the league and teams that have left. Like Illinois State and Western Illinois have played over 100 times. Are they great rivals? Yes, but they're no longer league rivals. Missouri State had a pretty good one with Northern Iowa. That is donezo because Mo State's gone. So this is what I came up with. Obviously, Bison Jacks goes without saying. I put SDSU USD on there simply out of the fact that, yeah, it's a rivalry, but there's an asterisk next to this. Because the Coyotes have only beaten the Jacks once in the Division I level in football, and that was on the Vermiracle that happened in 2021 down in Vermilion, obviously. Last year, the teams played an overtime game. It was a great game. The Jacks ended up winning the game in overtime. South Dakota had its chances to win the football game and couldn't. This year, they'll get national television on the game in Vermilion on ESPN in early November. I put Northern Iowa and Southern Illinois on there because prior to the Bison and the Jackrabbits coming into the league, this was the game. Northern Iowa and Southern Illinois would typically battle each other for the Valley football title. Kleiman would tell me numerous times about how difficult those games would be against Jerry Kill's teams at Southern Illinois. Just a brief history on these two schools. They've played 40 times. Northern Iowa holds an advantage, 22-17. This will be the 40th time they play this upcoming year. This past year, or the last time they played, this is sin in itself. They haven't played since 2022. How are those two schools off their own rotation? Somebody needs to explain that to me. But it was a 37-36 Northern Iowa victory. They have played in the postseason as well, which adds automatically some spice to it. But those two teams have a dynamite rivalry. Youngstown in Northern Iowa have a pretty darn good one as well. And again, this predates the Dakotas coming in to the league. Because Youngstown, as we know, had a great run on top of the league with Northern Iowa. They shared that. Those two teams were the tops of the league. Because Youngstown, obviously, in its run in the 90s, gosh, they were nearly unstoppable. And you pair them with Northern Iowa, that was pretty darn good football. When you ask people about what's Youngstown's biggest rival, the answer is Northern Iowa. Although North Dakota State would be up there, but the fact that the Penguins haven't beaten the Bison since 2011 probably negates that. Now, all time, it's 26-10 in favor of Northern Iowa and Youngstown. They played a dandy of a game this past year that Youngstown won 39-38 in overtime. It was a fabulous game. One other I put on there on our list, and you may be shaking your head like, wait a minute, that game's on there, is Indiana State, Illinois State. And you're like, well, okay, how can Indiana State have a rivalry with anybody? They've been not good forever, which is accurate, but the team they've played the most and the actual games that they've had the closest games with is Illinois State. They've played nearly 70 times in their history. Redbirds and the Sycamores have nearly split in that time frame when they've played one another between Illinois State and Indiana State. So in the league itself, and I'm not talking the rest of the FCS because there's some other dandies that are out there, but those, to me, stand out as the best in the conference. In terms of history, by the way, just for the numbers so you have it, Illinois State, Indiana State have played 73 times. That's the most anybody else has in the league. Illinois State leads that series 38-33-2. I didn't include Murray State just got in. They haven't got a rivalry with anybody. UND, I know the UND fans are going to say, well, it's NDSU. It's not. It's just not. Yes, I know they beat the Bison in 2023, but they've played as conference foes 4 times so far? 5? How many times here? The spring of 21 counted as the first. Then the fall of 21, 22, 23, 5 times. And the Bison have won 4. I'm not going there. UND, SDSU, no. USD, UND? Maybe? Question mark? I think the Coyotes have won 4 of the 5 against the Fighting Hawks. South Dakota doesn't really have one with Illinois State or India, Youngstown, maybe? Those are the ones I thought were clearly defined. And we'll accept any other emails. We'll read on those before the show is out today. All right. We're overdue for a break. I've given him ample fuel now to come on. I haven't seen him in a month. We got plenty to chat about. Our guy Mike McFeely from the Forum will join us when Hot Mike rolls on after this on WDAY Extra and WDAY Plus.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. All right, let's do some broadcasting with our guy, Mike McFeely. I haven't seen you physically in a month. I was figuring that out.
Mike McFeely.
Tom Izzo. Nice
Darn glad to meet you.
Same here. Great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you.
How you been?
I've been okay.
Yeah, you've been traveling. Sorry, I got to barely.
Yeah.
For the first time, you're too hot.
I've heard that for many years. First time was in junior high.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes.
Must have been with those Alexandria short shorts on the basketball court. How you been? You took some vacation? I did as well.
I did. Everything's fine.
That's
Everything
fantastic.
is great.
I just want to tell you that summer is officially over. Because college football talking season is away today.
I had a meeting this morning with the group that I work with, and that came up. It's a group of school-related people, and they said, well, summer's over because July 4th is past. So, yeah, it's over.
It's over now. So welcome to 2025 college football because Big 12 Media Days are going on.
I saw that. They picked
Frisco.
They've picked the preseason team already for the Big 12.
Yes.
I was going through it, I'm going, wow, there's not a lot of players from, and I go, well, that's right. They have like 41 teams in the Big 12 now. So like every team's not going to be represented. There's
16 teams.
You're going to have to be really good to have multiple players in the team, and there just wasn't many of.
And of all places, they went to the nexus of the sports universe, the Star in Frisco,
Texas.
Which
Absolutely,
we know a little bit. So.
We know it very well. Absolutely, it was good.
Our guy Kleiman could probably show them all around if he wants to go over to the old Londoner and
the Londoner. the green frog or something
Green Gator.
The Green Gator, yes. Which is where I got the recommendation for the Babe's Chicken House and Hutchins Barbecue.
Yes, that proved its worth.
From the local
over.
Who was 19 sheets to the wind on some random Thursday night. I stopped in after work just to have a quick one before I went back to the hotel, and some guy struck up a conversation because he just wants somebody to talk to.
And proof.
If I ever see him again, and if I wanted to find him, I'd probably look in the Green Gator. I would thank him for pointing us to Babe's Chicken House and Hutchins Barbecue.
And so we're in that list season, talking season,
Yes.
whatever. The Athletic put out. We were discussing before you came on the top college football rivalries.
Yeah.
And the Gophers Badgers was able to slide into the top 10, which
that's pretty good.
Maybe I shouldn't be surprised considering they've played 138 times.
Yeah. But I think I think one of the keys there is that I think even though Michigan and Ohio State are in that conference, and Penn State more recently, it's been like 40 years, but it just seems like yesterday to me because I'm old.
Well,
but
it's yesterday for UCLA and USC.
Yeah, right. And so Wisconsin, Minnesota, and even I think Minnesota, Iowa are, those are rivalries. Yep. Whereas Minnesota has the little brown jug with Michigan, but Michigan doesn't look at the Gophers as their top rival. They look at Ohio State as their top, and they're I'm going to spin this a different direction because it's interesting that this comes up. I didn't know you were going to talk about this today, obviously, but I wrote a column last week about Ryan Bakken, the former Grand Forks Herald, longtime sports columnist, but also a news writer. All of these hats that Ryan wore. And the perspective I wrote it from was from the sports perspective, and I told the story about Ryan finagling his way. And I don't know that he finagled. He was invited by a gentleman from Grand Forks to play Augusta National Golf Course, write about it, stay on the property. The greatest...
That's pretty good.
The greatest
That's pretty good.
North Dakota sports media coup of all time. So, Ryan, God bless you. Seriously. But the other part that I wrote about Ryan was that he was in the middle of the UND-NDSU rivalry back when it was cooking, back in the 1990s, because UND had finally caught up to NDSU. It took them a while to get there. Some of the games got close, and then I think it was 93 when UND finally beat NDSU on an exciting late play, and the Grand Forks tore down the goalposts and whatever. It was crazy, But I wrote that column, and I got some good response to it. People saying thank you. Ryan was a great guy, so forth. But from a handful of people, the response I got was, thanks for writing that column on Ryan. Thanks for bringing back memories of the great days of the NDSU-UND rivalry. I wish it was that way again.
Yeah.
Multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
Not like 100, but multiple people said, I wish, and they're older, and they remember those days. And my response to them has been consistent. I said, it's odd that you bring that up, because first of all, I don't think it's ever going to be like it was. It's going to be better someday than it is now. I think UND is going to be better under their new head coach than they were under their previous head coach. But I've heard that consistently from UND fans, and it's clearly a bigger deal to UND fans, the NDSU game, than it is to NDSU. Not that NDSU doesn't want to win the game. Not that it was, the apocalypse when UND just mashed them a couple of years ago. That didn't go well for Matt Entz's inbox.
No.
No. But you wouldn't hear that from any NDSU fans. You wouldn't hear the line, I wish it was like that again with UND. you just wouldn't hear that from an NDSU fan or an NDSU coach and administrators at NDSU.
No, they moved on.
They've moved on from those. Those days were great when they were happening, but nobody connected to the program today necessarily had anything to do with that back in, right. Tyler Roll probably, because he was a West Fargo guy and played for NDSU, it was big. He really wanted to be, Randy Hedberg.
Yep.
He was a North Dakota guy, older gentleman. UND was something to him. I don't know that there's, again, anybody that today, if you would talk to them, they'd say, gosh, I wish we could go back to those days again. And I understand why it is the way it is, that NDSU, when they made the move, for a while there, as I recall, there's people going, oh, sure missed the UND game. But then once they beat like Ball State and they started to win and they started to win some of these games, it was just off the table. It was totally forgotten about. The rivalry, that is, was totally forgotten about.
Well, once they beat the
Gophers, then it was just done.
And once they beat them again, once they started to win the national championships, and they started to beat FBS teams, and they started to have guys drafted, high in the first round. Carson Wentz, like the UND game just become, and they were selling out every game. Yep. And they, now that has changed, but they just, from 2011 until 19, I think like every regular season game was sold out pretty much, and so they just didn't miss those games at all. Nope.
And UND they just haven't matured that point as a program or as an athletic department, frankly, to where they have other things going on. The NDSU game is still the biggest game in the world in multiple sports.
Right, and it will be this November in
Grand
Forks.
Absolutely.
It's going to be the Super Bowl again when we go back up there November the 8th or whatever.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep. And it's going to be a heck of a challenge for North Dakota State to win that game. But it's just interesting to me, and I said it, somebody brought this up this morning to me. And I just said, it's odd, but it's like, UND wants to, or the fans and the, even the athletic department and some in the media want to go back 30 years, and NDSU, because they're in a different place and they've just accomplished much more in Division I, they're looking like what the next thing
forward, is. Right. Correct.
And what, whatever, I don't know what the next thing is. I know what I hope it is. I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
But NDSU is looking like, what's our next step to grow as a program? Can we get to FBS? Can we get in the Mountain West? Can we, is there a way to get into Conference USA? What can we do? And it's just a weird dynamic. It's interesting to watch it unfold here in real time.
The list, by the way, had the Jacks that had several pretty good ones, including Lafayette-Lehigh, which is the oldest rivalry in the history of Division I football. They've played 158 times or something.
And
like that.
I can see your computer, so I can see one of them on the list is North Dakota State South, and that's another part of why NDSU just
moved on.
I know that one of our colleagues at the Herald last year wrote a story that should there be a rivalry trophy, and UND wants one badly. Yep. Because they want this game to be the biggest thing in the world, and they want to be NDSU's rival. And I don't think that NDSU
has any interest.
I think Polisic said, sure, that's fine, whatever. I think Matt Larson said, no, we're good, thanks.
Yep.
But one of the reasons why is because that rivalry, the NDSU South Dakota State rivalry, has become it.
Right. It's took it off into the stratosphere.
Those games last year at the Dome were just incredible in their intensity, and it had all the rivalry elements that one of the teams had won 5 in a row, and the other team had caught NDSU finally and won a couple of national championships, and there was the idea that the Jackrabbits had supplanted the Bison as the FCS program, and the games are just tremendous.
And twice over, they've played in the regular season where it's been 1 versus 2 in the country. That's happened. That's pretty darn good to supplant.
And so all of those things together, and so it's just interesting. It's like, again, NDSU's like, no, we have a rival.
Yeah. We got a couple of emails I want to get to, so let's break and we'll get to those because I have not. I have saved a couple of these from at least last month. We got to get to, so we'll do that with Mike on the other side of the break. Back on Hot Mike right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Got a bunch of emails we got to get to here. This one just came in on our most recent topic, Mike. Mike and Dom, what played a bigger role in the NDSU success in the Division I with UND? UND refusing to move up, thereby ceding North Dakota recruiting and media share of voice, or Tim Brewster hiring at Minnesota?
Ooh, that's a really good and inside baseball question.
Yep.
That's a nice one. That's a good one. No, I think it was the Brewster thing.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Just the fact that Billy Turner and all these
and
Marcus Williams ended up in Fargo instead of in Minneapolis is just like, what in the world are you?
Never forget the first time I saw Billy Turner. I'm like, what? How is this guy here?
Yeah.
How is this guy playing for NDSU?
But the UND's handling of the whole move to Division I, that's where the rivalry went away.
That's right.
That's where they made that decision, and at the time there was multiple people, including myself, that said, I don't know that this is a good idea at all to move from Division II. As it turned out, it was the perfect idea. But UND just has never recovered from that decision they made to stay in Division II, to try to beat Grand Valley State.
Yep.
And by the way, let me get this. Let me get this plug in here. It's the same arguments we're hearing now from the NDSU fans
that don't
want to go to FBS.
Absolutely.
Again, even though doesn't seem like it's a possibility right now, there certainly were discussions, and they were in the discussions recently for some of these conferences that needed additions. The Mountain West, the most famous, Conference USA was in the mix there for a while, from what I understand. But people, they want to continue to play South Dakota State and UND and USD and the Montana schools.
Right.
It's like, it's the same argument that UND was making 25 years ago.
Yep.
Why fall into that trap?
Off of that, this email I got this after the revolving wheel was wrapping up on realignment. Mike and Dom, listen to your podcast 4 years ago when Oklahoma and Texas decided to leave the Big 12 for the SEC. You said the dominoes would eventually come this way. Any regrets on that?
No.
I mean,
again,
we did an emergency pod. I remember that day. We came in here and did it when we found out Texas and Oklahoma were going to bolt the Big 12 for the SEC. And we knew everything was, I don't know if we knew 40 some odd schools, Mike, were going to, I think that ended up being the case, but.
It
did come here.
And it did come here. Like, as I said, their Conference USA was in the mix at one point. And we know the Mountain West.
Certainly the Mountain West was.
And they were, and North Dakota State was in the discussion.
Bantied about.
In the Mountain West. And so it's just that, maybe we didn't take into account the geography factor.
I didn't take into account Missouri State. No.
Well, right. And that's right. No. And, the Kennesaw States and Missouri States and all of that. So I don't regret that.
No.
I think it was a decent take. And by the way, it ain't over yet. It really isn't. It's never going to be over because there's going to be teams. I had somebody tell me last week that he wouldn't be surprised if teams started to move down again.
Yeah.
With all the money things and the revenue sharing, and it's really hard for teams to do that. Presidents don't like to go backwards, but. Kennesaw State. What's Kennesaw State doing?
What's Jacksonville State doing there?
Can they afford it? Can they stay there?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe not, because it's tough to go backwards. But somebody brought that up to me who is in a position to have an opinion that might matter.
Last one before we go. Mike and Dom, would you appreciate if Dr. David Cook was more outspoken like the president is at Sacramento State and trying to go FBS?
No, I think that there's several reasons why both David Cook and Matt Larson, by the way, are like incredibly tight-lipped about anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because they just, the politics of it are just so, not only from the conferences that don't want this stuff out there, but also the concern in-state politically, and frankly, we know how UND would react.
Correct.
I mean, I think that's, nobody's told me that. But
I think we can assume that.
But I think we can assume that that
You're
UND
100% right.
would not want NDSU to move up, and I think would do anything they could to keep, or to say, well, we have to go as a package, because they just don't want to get left behind again.
Yeah.
And so I think that if this ever happens, and I don't believe it's going to, again, let's make that clear. I said from the start
it was a moonshot.
that this was a moonshot.
Yep.
But I think that if this happened, it's going to be, everything is going to be in place solidly before the news gets leaked to Brett McMurphy. And not Mike or Dom. The news gets leaked to Brett McMurphy or Pete Thamel that it's going to be a tweet that sources indicate the Mountain West is targeting North Dakota State, and I'll be going,
I'll just be ripping up my face.
Yeah.
Like, God, come on.
Yep. So
I know, Sam, and you have talked about this. We haven't. The Sac State's such, I don't know what the right word is, just in your face about this. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lawsuit now that they're going to file that they want it with, and maybe they'll win it because the NCAA is 0-126 in lawsuits lately. They don't have the funds that Liberty had, the unlimited cash that we can go and do it. But also, it's a much different time when Liberty decided, hey, we're going to move on.
Right. And I think that there was more of an openness at that point from the FBS schools to say, yeah, whatever, come on in, whatever, who cares? And I think the Sacramento State thing being shot down to go as an independent is another indicator that the current FBS schools don't want any more in their club, because it's already very large. And when you're adding Kennesaw and Missouri State and even Jacksonville State and Sam Houston to a certain extent, they're going like, what?
Right.
What are we like? So FBS is supposed to be the special club, and it's just
ain't so special,
right?
With those last one,
and I think that's hurt NDSU, by the way.
Opportunity,
even though I have had indications that people who don't like NDSU hate to hear this, but I have been told that there are those in FBS who view NDSU differently because of their success and what they've done with putting players in the NFL in the high rounds, that they're not looked at the same as Tarleton State or Kennesaw State or whomever.
Last one. This is for both of us as well. Mike and Dom, are you surprised the Valley didn't get anybody out of the former WAC? I am. I really thought that the Texas school. I never. You and I talked a lot. We reported both on the Utah schools that there might have been something there. They end up going to the Big Sky, which is, I'm surprised the Big Sky went and added. I don't think the Big Sky needed to.
No.
But then none of the Texas schools are coming to the Valley or the Summit either. And I thought the dangling of the carrot of, you can have your membership in the Missouri Valley Football Conference if you come into the Summit.
Actually, I was surprised the Big Sky added more schools.
Yeah,
they already have.
They had 11.
Yeah.
For football.
Yes.
Now they're at 13.
And again, there's no chance of this happening necessarily, but I have heard rumblings for the last couple of years that Montana State is like, they're ready to
be done.
Yeah. And they're just, because Montana State is one of those. They're going to be a player in FCS football for the foreseeable future because they have money, they have the location. Now they have the
infrastructure.
Choate started it. Jeff Choate started it. Brent Vegan has kind of finished the job to get him up to the top 3 or 4 teams in FCS, and just what they have going. And there might be more money coming their way in a large lump sum, from what I've heard.
Yes,
they're going to be. And so Montana's in a different position because they're just a poorer school that's losing enrollment, whereas Montana State is
and their location is going that way too.
Yep. But I've heard that for the last couple of years, the Montana schools, in particular the Montana State, are getting a little fatigued with the Big Sky.
This was great. Great to catch up, my man. Have a great
day. Nice to see you.
Same here, bud. And
I'll be texting you 31 times later today, like I have been the last several days. Poor Dom is on vacation, and I didn't even know he was going through this planes, trains, and I'm texting him, hey, what do you think about it? Now I feel guilty about it. You're like,
hey, we lived a planes, trains, and automobiles coming back from Philly. This was
you got your poor kid riding in the back of a meat truck.
Wasn't that bad, but it was pretty
with the Schmengen brothers from Pulaski, Wisconsin.
And playing polka music in the background.
A different movie, but you get the idea, yeah.
Great to see you, bud.
Yes.
Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday. We're overdue for a break. We come back. Hey, the Dragons got a quarterback out of the state of Texas.
They have been working on expanding their footprint now for a couple recruiting cycles. They had a kid out of Arizona last recruiting cycle, but the kid kind of got cold feet and backed out. Now they got one from Texas.
Yeah, so he's going to join us. Payton Wallen, you'll meet him when Hot Mike Hour 2 begins, coming up right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Not hearing my... There we are. Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll. Thanks to Mike McFeely for giving us a few minutes. We teased it at the end of our first hour that the MSUM football recruiting footprint got a bit bigger yesterday with the news of they got 2 commits for the class of 2026. And normally MSUM is Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. Texas, not necessarily, but they're going to Texas for our next guest who joins us, quarterback Payton Wallen from Quinlan, Texas, verbally committed yesterday to play football in Moorhead, Minnesota. It's great to see you. Congratulations. All right, how did this come about? How did you go from Texas to Moorhead, Minnesota?
So I came up to an NDSU camp last summer, and they just happened to be there, and they saw me. And then, we interacted, and we got it. We got our Twitters and exchanged and everything, and then I sent them my film, and it's just been a great opportunity since then.
All right, so did you know anything about Minnesota State University Moorhead, or is it you found out everything when you came to the Bison camp last year?
I actually found out everything whenever I came to the Bison camp. So yeah.
So what did you give me your first impression on that and say, okay, well, this may be a opportunity here?
Yes, sir. I got there, and then Coach Check, the QB coach, he was talking to me. He was like, I think that you're a great football player, and we would like to stay in touch and everything. And he let me tour the campus, and it was super nice. So I was like, yeah, this is a place that I would like to be.
So when you came up, Payton, for the Bison camp, this is the last June of 24. What were your mindset? Did you have a goal like, hey, I want to Bison offer? Like, what was your mindset going into the camp?
I just wanted to ball out. I just wanted to control what I could control, let everything fall how it should.
So you come out of this, you go back home, say, hey, there's a school in Minnesota that's interested. How'd you tell your mom and dad about that?
I told them, so I got back, and they were actually on the trip with me. And so I exchanged Twitters with them, and I immediately told them, I was like, hey, this school in Minnesota, they're interested in me, and they were just super supportive in the way everything went.
So the year goes out, and obviously you're still under the recruiting microscope because you're trying to get offer. How did you guys stay in touch throughout the season? Tell me about that throughout this past fall.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So we kept contact throughout the whole season. I went up there a couple times to a visit or whatever, to unofficial, just to tour the campus, get to talk with Check and everything. Me and Coach Check have been on calls all the time. We're always talking, always texting. So it's been a really good experience with MSUM.
So I want to say, Payton, was like 2 weeks ago they officially offered you?
Yes, sir.
So what was that like to say, okay, they called and offered you a scholarship?
It was amazing. I felt so pleased. I was really grateful for the opportunity. I was just super excited because that's where I wanted to go. So
you had a couple other offers as well. I know Concordia St. Paul was out there. You had a few others that were interested. What was the thought process when the Dragons officially extended one? Was it a slam dunk for you, or how much did you have to stew about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It was a slam dunk. I knew that's where I wanted to be, and so I just made the decision. So I was super happy with what they had to offer.
Did you talk to Coach Lockway, or who did you call when you said, all right, it's a done deal?
I actually called Coach Check.
Okay.
So we talked on the phone for about 10, 20 minutes, just about everything.
What was that emotion like on the other end of the phone?
Man, he was excited. He was ready to go. He was ready to rock.
Did this happen because at your time, did you want to have it done before your senior year? Did you have a timeline of when you wanted to have the decision over and
Yes,
done
sir.
with?
I wanted to have it before my senior year just so I can go through my senior year and not have to worry about anything or just worry about playing football.
So now it's a reality. You're coming up to Minnesota. How's that?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that wrapped? Have you wrapped your mind around that? Have your
Yes,
parents
sir.
wrapped
Yes,
your mind
sir.
around it yet?
Yes, sir. I went up there last winter for a visit to NDSU, and it was, I think the high was like -20 or something like that, and so I was all bundled up, but it was a good time.
So you got a nice day in January when you came up here. Describe now. This is a reality. You're going to play college football. You're going to play Division II college football. What's that mean
Yes,
to
sir.
you?
Man, it's an honor. I've always wanted to play college football ever since I was a little kid, and now that I get to have that opportunity is amazing.
For people, Peyton, that have not seen you play, we just had a highlight reel of you going. Describe you as a quarterback. What's your style, and how do you see yourself fitting in on the football field?
I see myself as a leader first. I lead by example in all aspects. I try my best to lift my guys up, and if they're feeling down or whatever, I see myself as a pass first QB. But if I have to run, I can make plays on the ground as well. We run wing T, so I'm limited in my passing options. But every passing option that I get, I have to make it count. So.
Well, you're going from one end of the spectrum to the other because I'm assuming you know the Dragons throw it about 70 times a game.
Yes,
How
sir. Yes, sir.
that had to be appealing, but describe the challenge of this. You're going from a run-heavy offense to now an offense where you're going to wing it almost every down.
Yes, sir. I worked super hard on throwing the ball. I would throw the ball almost every day. I have 2 days a week off for recovery and everything. So I feel like it's going to be a good transition. I'm not going to say it's an easy transition, but it's going to be a transition.
You know, we joke in the office, Peyton, about the Dragon offense. Coach Lockway's on my show every Tuesday throughout the season, and I give him a hard time about but the offense works. As a recruit, I have to ask, though, how appealing is it as a quarterback recruit when you see their offensive stats, you see their wide receivers putting up gaudy numbers like, well, that would be a really appealing place to play, even if it is far away from home.
Yes, sir. Their offense is really appealing, as you said, but at the end of the day, I don't really care about the offense. It's more of a culture and how they're going to grow me not only as a football player but as a person as well. So,
all right. So you play high school football in Texas. We've all seen movies and TV. So give us the lowdown. What's a Friday night like in your hometown to play in Quinlan?
Everybody in the whole town shows up to the game. It's always loud. It's always fun. We have our band going right before kickoff. It's such a cool atmosphere. It's a cool experience to play in.
What's the biggest city for people that know Texas? What are you close to?
I'm close to Rockwall, and I'm close to Dallas. I'm 30 minutes outside of Dallas.
Okay, so Dallas suburb, you'd say?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you've seen the Bison plenty enough in Frisco then, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We actually watched it here because we were going to get tickets, but it was so cold whenever they had that game down here. I think it was like 24 with a wind chill, and it was raining or something. It was crazy.
I'm just telling you, man. You better get that. That could be a high one day when you come up here. I'm just telling you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The movies and TV shows always dramatize what it's like. Can you live it? Is that accurate? What we see for what high school football is on a Friday night in Texas?
Yes, sir. It's not far off, actually.
No.
I know out there, if you watch Friday Night Lights out there in Permian and Odessa, it's definitely like that. Like their stadiums are crazy. All the parents are crazy and everything. Where I'm at, we don't have the crazy parents and everything, but everything is about the same.
You're a quarterback, so I got to.
Yes,
what's the pressure that goes with that? Knowing you're a Texas high school starting quarterback.
Yes, sir. It has its ups and downs, for sure. The pressure. I don't feel like there's a bunch of pressure. There's just people that believe in you and expect a lot from you. But at the end of the day, you just have to strap up the pads and go play some football.
So now that this is over and done with, I have to imagine fall camp's not that far away. What's been your phone been like, and what have you done to celebrate over the last 24 hours?
I had an interview for the forum, the Fargo forum last night, and ever since I made that decision, I've been getting a bunch of congratulations and everything. Glad you found your home, and it's just been really cool. All the coaches from MSUM have talked to me a little bit. It's just been a really cool experience.
Have your buddies been asking you where? Like, where are you going?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been keeping my football buddies up and in the loop with everything. So most of them know where it is, and if they don't, then I'm happy to inform them. It's just been a cool experience.
So now with camp right around the corner, give us the insight of this, because that's another thing I'm always fascinated about. Like when you start, how long it goes, and then your season goes. Heck, if you play for a while, you're going almost all the way to Christmas, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We start our 2 days in about 3 to 4 weeks, I think.
Okay.
So August 5th, if that's 2 to 3 weeks away, I feel like. And then we just get together right before the season every year. We usually have a cookout or something, and we just have a great time as a team. And then we if we make playoffs, which I plan on, we will. I feel like we have a good team. We're gonna do something special this year, and that's gonna be super fun. All our guys are together as a team right now. We don't have a bunch of individuals. We have a team that's prepared for, and they want to go for we have one goal as a team, and it's to win district. And I'm really bought in. Everybody's bought in. It's amazing.
To have this over and done with, what's the emotion today?
It's amazing. It's kind of relief, but also like I have to work harder to get to put myself in the best position possible to go out there and potentially start. So
now that it's done with, you got the decision done. Now you got to look. Do you have a break now before fall camp, or what are you doing between now and camp and 2 days get going?
We have summer workouts every day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a break. I'm throwing still almost every day, and we have summer workouts from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it's still a grind.
What do workouts consist of for those that don't know in Texas high school football? I'm dying to know that.
So we usually we do football first. So yesterday was an offensive day, and so we do run period, then we do passing period, and then we go through a little bit of technique. We have form takeoff where we get in our sets. Like we have like strong wing con or something like that. We'll get up, set up in that, and then we'll just run a play off of that. So that's fun. And then we go and lift, and we usually we do a bunch of majors. So we do squat, bench, military, power clean, dips, and leg press. That's usually what we do. And then we go out and do agilities and then run for a little bit. So,
Oof. Last before I let you go, are you giving your coach a hard time? Say, hey, we can throw it. We can throw a little bit more than just run it every down.
No, sir. My coach he's coached for a long time. He's trusted me. He put me in as a sophomore to start. And so, I trust him fully with everything. He's a great play caller. So
that's the right answer, but I was just kind of curious if you say, hey,
yes,
I can throw it a couple times. It's congratulations, Payton. I really appreciate the time, bud. Have a great year, and we'll look forward to seeing you up here this time next year, okay?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thanks for the time, bud. Payton Wallen from Quinlan, Texas. He is a verbal commit for Steve Lockway's Dragons for the class of 2026. 6'3", 225 pounds. You saw a bit of his highlight reel there when we were doing the interview with him. And one of two guys. This really tells you the whole strategy of MSUM football recruiting. They got a guy from Texas, and then they got a guy, Moorhead Spud. Jamison Dunlap announced his commitment, who's another one of Feeney's dynamite players on the Spud football roster yesterday. That A to Z. We're going to go in our own backyard and make sure we get a Spud, and then we're going to go all the way to Texas and find a quarterback. And you cannot overstate the importance of what Jake Strand has meant to that football roster. Strand has been one of the best Division II quarterbacks over the last 2 years. Was a Harlan Hill candidate, because of course was the best player in Division II. Obviously, the offense lends itself that we're going to chuck it. We're going to throw it a lot. You're going to have an opportunity to throw the ball. That's got to be appealing for players out there. So congratulations to Payton. We appreciate his time, and we'll be keeping an eye, and he'll be part of the Dragons signing class when they make that official in February of 2026. 2026. We'll break. We come back. Got a couple other things to get to. We've got a bunch of emails coming in. Much more in the Minnesota high school football districting as well, coming up in about 15 minutes. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic rolls on here on this Tuesday morning. Just got this confirmed. Tomorrow, this will be fun. One of the greatest athletes in North Dakota history will be here in studio tomorrow. The only athlete to ever beat Lauren Raisler in a race in her high school career. Minot's Morgan Milbrath will be here in studio. She is the new girls basketball coach at West Fargo Cheyenne, former All-American at North Dakota State in track, and taking over for Kenyon Wingenbach, who, of course, left to now be the assistant over at Concordia for Kim Wagers and the women's team with the Cobbers. Morgan will join us tomorrow. Really excited about that. That's coming up at 10 tomorrow. We have reached the time of the year where it's the deadest time of the year. Next 2 weeks arguably are going to be. So now it's time for football teams, specifically NFL teams, to get their mojo going for new uniforms or new helmets. And we know the new rule coming in that teams are going to be allowed to wear throwbacks or different helmets more in 2025. The Saints just tweeted this out earlier, about a half hour ago, saying soon, and the date on the tweet there at the bottom, July 9th, 2025. That's tomorrow. What in the world are they doing? If they don't do back that old black helmet with the fleur-de-lis on it, that's fantastic. I do not know what's coming, but I imagine while we're on the air tomorrow, we're going to find out. So it's beginning on new uniforms coming. Let's see. We got a couple emails to get caught up on. This is going back on the Minnesota football district, and we got a couple of graphics we're going to show you too on who's playing where for the next couple of years. Specifically, we talked about yesterday, Brody, if we can bring up the graphic with DGF and Barnesville on it. So email goes, Dom, DGF gets a break going from the 2023 and 2024 schedules of 3 4A schools, Detroit Lakes, Little Falls, and Fergus. 4 4A schools, Perham, Morris area, EGF, and Thief River, and 1 1A school, Barnesville, which is usually the toughest game of the season. Then having to contend with Stewartville in the state playoffs. It goes back and forth from 4A to 3A. This year, the Rebels will only play 1 4A school in DL, 4 3A schools, and 4 2A schools. I believe DGF will have another successful season. So this is the new district for DGF. And with Barnesville, which is a class below them, Hawley, which is a 2A school, Perham, which is a 3A school, Pillager, which is a 2A school as well, and Staples, which is a 2A. The question I have, and no one's really been able to answer this, at least to my satisfaction, is that we have districts made up of teams that aren't the same size. Like this one with East Grand Forks, we got another one here with East Grand Forks, Park Rapids, Thief River Falls, Warroad, Roseau, and Pelican Rapids. There's another graphic we have here. I don't know. None of these teams are in the same section or class, excuse me. They're all over the place. Pelican's a 2A, Roseau's a 2A, or maybe Class A. Warroad, Thief River's a 3A, as is Eastside. Park Rapids has fluctuated. Like, what are we doing? That's what our next topic is going to be with our next guest. Like, North Dakota's got it. North Dakota's messed up too. Okay, I have hammered them for the last 6 years since they went to this system now, where the biggest cities don't have their football teams in the biggest class. It's indefensible. I don't care what anybody says to me. I got the North people mad at me for the last couple of years. Now they're finally at their level. I understand it's been tough, but you're in Fargo. You have to play in the biggest class. If you're in Grand Forks, you play in the biggest class. If you're in Minot, you play in the biggest class. End of story. Bismarck, same thing. St. Mary's people can get mad at me all they want, and they got their brains beat in 3A. I get it. But you're in Bismarck. Come on. Shanley is the perfect example of this. Troy Mattern, when he got the job at Shanley, he told me on this show, told me on WDAY Sports, we are opting up. We are in Fargo. We are going to play in the biggest class. I took this job because I want to be in the biggest class. That makes sense. In Minnesota, like this is, I get it from Moorhead. Moorhead has nobody in near them now. They're a 6A school. They have to be grouped with teams that are far away. This, I mean, and the Frazee's not in there. Frazee or Breck, they're in a different district than Barnesville, DGF, Hawley. I mean, that's all Highway 10 for the most part. Like, I don't know what we're doing. And the fact that Pelican isn't in with Barnesville, DGF, Hawley, and Perham, somebody make that make sense to me. Somebody smarter than me is going to have to hop into the pool on this one because I don't have the answer on that. But that's the mindset for Minnesota football. We'll try and get some answers when we come back because our next guest has been coaching high school football for a long time in the state of Minnesota. Hawley's Peder Naatz coming up on the other side of the break when we return on a Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday morning show rolls on. We were just chatting on the Minnesota new high school football district that's coming out for this upcoming fall and the next year. And I thought there's one guy I know who can give us some pretty good answers on this, despite the fact I'm interrupting a vacation, so I feel terrible on that. Longtime Hawley head coach, friend of the show, Peder Naatz joins us. This is the best Zoom we may ever have. He's on his way to his lake place. His grandson's behind him. Dog's there. You are living the best summer life, my man. This is fantastic. How you been?
Oh, pretty good. And I'm not driving, so I can do this monkey business with you.
I figured anytime I can get you riled up with the State High School League is always great television. So I'm assuming you've known about this for a little bit, but tell us your reaction when you saw what the district alignment was for the next couple of years.
Well, it was a bit of a surprise that we ended up switching as many schools as we did. We thought we had a really good mesh of schools and the sizes that we had. And now, not only are we playing a couple other 3A schools in our schedule, we've bumped a couple other things around. And why not throw Pillager in there? And why not throw Staples Motley in there, who are state caliber football teams, the last few years. And Staples Motley was in the championship game last year, and Pillager was right on the cusp of being section champion and being in the state tournament. But you know what? They don't give you an opportunity to set your own schedule. So take it as an opportunity to play some good football and be ready to roll when playoff time comes.
So for people that don't know, Peder, can you explain on the district part of it, are you obligated? You have to play all your teams that are in your district, or how does that work?
You are obligated to play the teams that are in your sub-district.
Okay.
And then you have a postseason section tournament, which doesn't necessarily mean that those teams are in your district or your sub-district, but sometimes they're in your district and your section, but not your sub-district. So if you can figure that out and make it make sense, draw it out. So this Fayette teacher, football coach can figure it out too. And so we just go where we're supposed to go and do what we need to do. And there's been some, now you got me going. There's been so many things that have changed over the years and it's just, you just got to stay flexible. You got to do your kids. When we had the COVID season, when we had no contact, when it's a week of heat acclimatization, when they've been working out all summer anyway, all that, those different things. It just gives another example of another opportunity for us to work with being flexible and just thinking on your feet and getting things done however they require you to do them. So that being what it is, if you could make your own schedule, you'd win every single game. But it doesn't work that way. And, let's line them up and play them.
Now, I'm in favor you guys playing. You got to play Barnesville every year. You got to play, I think, DGF, even though I know DGF's higher than you. I would – have you played Perm every year? I can't remember.
We've had them 4 years in a row now.
Okay.
As our opening game, and that's been a really good matchup. It's been really good games. We didn't play extremely well last year. It turns out that was the only win they got last year. So he holds that over me once in a while too. Yeah, and I tend to bring it up more than I need to as well. But so it's that'll be a good game. DGF is always a great game for the community and for the football neighborhood of Highway 10. And Tony's got a great program going there, and they got a tremendous staff. And they're not hard to figure out, but they're not easy to stop. So it'd be fun to have that game back again. And the first time I looked at it, I didn't say anything to anybody, and I just kind of sat on it for a couple of days and like, yeah, it might be a big capital B of a schedule, but let's go. Let's do it. Let's make it fun and get out.
I guess my point on this, Pete, was that you should play DGF. You should play Barnesville, Perham. I think you should play Breck, and I think you should play Pelican every year. That's not, at least in my mind, for where you're located, that should be every year. Those 5 are mandatory on your schedule.
Yep, I would have to agree with you. And one of the games that we really miss, both schools miss, is playing Monoman Waban.
Yeah,
we haven't played them since they became the T-Birds, but we had a tremendous rivalry and a great relationship with those guys for so long. And that would be a good one that we would really want to have. It wouldn't be out of line to play Ada Borup West either.
Yep.
And just rotate things around, whether they're Class 1A or 2A or 3A. Every one of those teams that we just mentioned can compete almost every single year with everybody in that group. And, and then you have to play a 3A game to get in more points. You can lose a game and get more points than winning a game against a 1A team. It just, that whole system, try to figure that out.
I need about a week's worth of shows and I thought I'd lose their attention on talking about the house settlement. That trying to figure out the QRF might be even worse on trying to do that in Minnesota football.
Me talk about it for a week. We'd have to get a new beep button.
Describe this time. I know you're out vacation. You got a little bit of time left for fall camp. What's this like for you? You've done this for so long, of the ramp up of getting ready for when you get going here in about a month.
I was just talking with some guys yesterday. We were in a golf scramble in Hawley and said, "How's your summer been?" And it's been a perfect amount of summer right now. Usually at the 4th of July, you're like, "Holy smokes, where did the time go?" But I've been able to do so many more things than I have the last couple of years that it's been really good. I don't feel panicked. I don't feel rushed. I know when I have to start doing stuff to get ready to go. And, our last child, Noah, we just dropped him off on June 9th at NDSU.
Yeah.
But we're figuring out the empty nest thing. And that's just given us more opportunities to do some weekend things and
nice.
Some other stuff, because we're not running around to a camp or a college visit or something like that. And so it's good. It used to really get me going about now because it would seem like we were running out of time, but I'm in a great place right now. I think our team is going to be something exciting. I think we're going to be younger, but we're going to be very talented, and we be able to spread the ball around all over the place.
What's Noah giving you the first impressions of summer workouts as a freshman at NDSU?
Well, I'll tell you what. He went back yesterday after being gone. They had like 4 days off on the 4th, and he was ready to go. He wrote in the guest book that my mom keeps at the lake, and he just talked about being at North Dakota State and loving absolutely every single second of it so far. So as far as we can tell, he's in the absolute right place and doing exactly what he should be doing right now.
I'm obligated to ask you a Ben Ellefson question. So give me a Ben Ellefson either play or memory that sticks out that maybe you haven't talked a whole lot about. Like, boy, that one, you look back at it like that was amazing that he did that. What comes to mind?
Are you talking high school or college?
Either one. Doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm going to say two things. The way he dominated the run game and the blocking with the Bison, just every single day, every single game, he hardly ever lost a battle blocking, and he absolutely embarrassed some people with his physicality. And the high school game, you guys were calling it. I think it was at Moorhead High.
Yeah.
His senior year, we had all of our home games at Moorhead, and I think it was against Barnesville too. Even on the south sideline, he went up with a one-handed grab.
Yep.
Very much like Diggs did, very much like Justin Jefferson does now. Just a one-handed grab up above everybody, and just a man among men, man among boys is what he was back then.
The fact that he's coaching with the Minnesota Vikings, if I would have told you that 10 years ago, that would be his destiny, would you have believed me?
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah. It's pretty darn cool that he's doing that now. Last thing before I let you go so you can get out there and actually enjoy some stuff. Around this part of the world, I'm interested in your colleagues talking with the Spuds moving up. What have you heard about, the teams from the Twin Cities coming this way? Is the griping, have you heard from your colleagues about them having to come up all the way to Moorhead?
No, not too much. I'm not tight with a lot of the big timers down in the cities, and I'm okay with that. But I've heard some people in our neck of the woods say, "Well, we'll see how good they're going to be now."
Yep.
But that's Feeney's got a great program going there, and he's got some talented kids. You can tell that he's doing a lot of things right with the number of kids that are going on to play at the college level, whether it be D3 at Concordia, at Moorhead, at Bemidji, Duluth, and even at UND and NDSU, and even bigger places than that. So I think they're going to be just fine. The travel's going to kick them in the rear end, and it's going to be, it's going to irritate the guys from down in the cities. Instead of driving 40 minutes, you're going to drive 4 hours. But hey, you choose to live there, you got to try to enjoy it.
Say, welcome to the party. Everybody else had to travel. You've traveled all over the place too for state tournament, your state games, right?
Yeah, and that's okay. That's a state game.
Yep.
You're playing for some big stuff then, so that's kind of cool. And traveling for those, that's easy peasy.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. Be well. I hope you catch something on the lake today, and we'll see you when football gets closer, okay?
All right, dude, man. Good talking with you.
There he goes. Peder Naatz, longtime Hawley head football coach, friend of the show, giving us, as I knew he would, give us some good stuff there on the latest on the Minnesota high school football districting. If there was any way to get actual answers on this, we'd pay good money. Right now, who knows? The way to figure it out is just bizarre, but that's at least from the Hawley side of things. Again, the lineup of the district for what Hawley has is Barnesville, DGF, Perham, Pillager, and Staples. Pillager and Staples, we both saw at the Fargo Dome, the games we televised last year at the in the section championship games that we do at the end of October. And there's two schools there that are already, Perham's a 3A school and DGF's a 3A school. Make it make sense to me. East Grand Forks is paired with Park Rapids, Thief River, Warroad. Roseau is a 3A school. I was told that off the air. And Pelican, who's barely a 2A school. I mean, I'm not sure why they don't let them control their own scheduling. That part is odd, but we could literally fill a week of shows talking on high school football, scheduling, classes. I'm not sure anybody would like it, but we could do it without any equivocation. I can tell you that right now. On either side of the river, whether it's North Dakota or Minnesota, each have their own issues. Each of them make it way harder than it needs to be. I think if we got 10 people in a room, we could get this figured out. No football coaches or administrators in there. We could figure it out and say, hey, What are you guys doing? This is the easiest way to go about it. I'll just go back on the North Dakota side of things that Davies didn't play North last year. Something like, what? What are we doing? Like, Shanley went to Bismarck I think Mark Gibson told Bismarck came east like 5 times last year. Like, what are we doing? Make it make sense, people. All right, we're due for a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready. We got a good Sports Tuesday on tap. We'll preview that before we get out the door. Hot Mike will wrap on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Tuesday morning. Tomorrow, also on the show, one of North Dakota's top men's basketball recruits, Sage Hansen, will join us. There's obviously been some stories around Sage. He was one of the players that appealed to the North Dakota High School Activities Association for his eligibility to be reinstated after transferring back home to Towner, Granville, Upham. And that was denied. He did not play this past season. He's just picked up, I believe, 2. I know UND and NDSU have both offered him. He'll join us tomorrow on the show as well to discuss what the last season's been like, and now the recruiting's starting to pick up. That'll be tomorrow about 10:30. We'll look forward to his conversation tomorrow on the show. I mentioned off the top that the Big 12 is started the college football media days cycle. Commissioner Brett Yormark is commenting now at the podium. Later today, Chris Kleiman will speak at about 12:20. He'll be on ESPNU and ESPN Plus. So for those of you looking forward to that, Matt Campbell comes up at just after noon. Campbell, of course, Iowa State opens its season. Their home schedule, they open with South Dakota. Remember, K-State, Iowa State opened the year in Ireland in week 0. Campbell and the Cyclones open the year with South Dakota. Kleiman opens up his home schedule with Eric Schmidt and North Dakota coming up later today. We'll have some of their highlight comments on the show tomorrow. We'll look forward to that. Let's see. A couple of things from Yormark. Obviously, they asked about the college football playoff expansion. They're in favor, the Big 12 is, of the 5+11 model, which is the 5 AQs and then 11 at-large bids. Right now, I told you we're tabling any conversation on that till it's actually decided. I don't want to waste any airtime on it until it's actually been decided, which clearly it hasn't been yet. But that will be a hot topic among all the media day cycle here over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, he said on the double. This is from Pete Thamel tweeting out Yormark on the CFP model. Quote, "I'm doubling down on 511 today." He said he expects ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips to do the same. "I'm confident we'll get to the right place. I'm confident we'll get to 5+11, meaning the format would go from 12 to 16 teams, and for next year, it could be for the 2026 college football season. Just tell me when it's over and done with, and we figured it out. That's kind of where I'm at on that deal and that topic, because it's just been. Seems like never since we just got the playoff expanded to 12, we automatically wanted to go to 16. It's just where we've been at. So just be prepared for that. For those of you that follow college football, that topic is not going anywhere for at least the next 3 weeks. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. What to Watch brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We appreciate their sponsorship each and every day. Cubs and Twins coming up tonight, 6:30 from Target Field. Twins.tv. Corey Provis told us last week he's off this week. It's going to be an analyst-driven broadcast, so no play-by-play broadcaster in the booth for the next 3 games for the Twins and Cubs series. So that'll be interesting to watch. That's coming up tonight, 6:30. Again, Simeon Woods-Richardson against Shioto Imigana will be pitching for the Cubs to start that. Wimbledon going on now on ESPN. We've got one American through. Taylor Fritz is into the semifinals at Wimbledon. That is big for an American. We have not had that in a long, long time, but he is through, winning in 4 sets earlier today. Coverage continues on ESPN. As we mentioned, Big 12 Media Days going on as well. You can flip that on ESPNU. Matt Campbell, Chris Kleiman coming up in just a little bit. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Peder Naatz, to Payton Wallen, and to Mike McFeely. If you've missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.